Hey everyone, SpeeDMan here, and welcome back to part 9 of our Let's Learn Civilization 6 United States run. Before we get into the next episode, I'd like to ask you to please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily content, and we'll keep the videos coming. Alright, today's episode, well, that's where we left off. We're just getting a few of these sanctuaries up and running. Once we do, we're going to get a huge boost to our science and production, a little bit to gold as well. While we're at it, let's go ahead and plop this down, get that started at least so we can get that going. I can take some time to build into that. Right now we're low on amenities, so helping amenities for quite a few cities. So this is the location here. This is in range, that's in range, that's in range, that is, and that is. So 6 of our cities here in this kind of concentric region are within range. And for us, that is a very strong thing. That's way too low value. Okay, so with our current setup, we're actually going to go ahead and just plunk away at a lot of these opponents. Put us in a better position overall. While we're at it, we are also going to allow this unit to heal. It's going to take a little longer, but I would rather not take the chance of bringing him through the water. While it is faster by good, by some good margin, I want to either wait a moment and see if I can kind of clear some of this out in the area, or just outright bring it south. It feels safer to bring it south. It's going to take a few turns longer, yes, and the city won't develop as quickly. But if I just go in the water there, they can easily take it. And there may be potentially another barb in this little area here, and that's just too much of a risk. We just took that, so we don't want to lose that. In this position, what we're going to do is we're going to consider avoiding any upgrades in this particular region. However, while we can't do anything major here, because again, we don't want to have improvements, we are in a good position with a lot of these placements to pick up some good yields. That being said, we are going to likely build either a small little farm triangle here, probably a triangle right here would be pretty nice. So we'll head to that position. We're not going to build a camp there. The main thing in this case is chopping this may not be a necessarily good idea because we only have very limited yield potential at the moment. So we want to hold on to that because again, you can see it's a 1-1 tile. We chop that, yes, it'll get that done, but we're going to lose overall potential. So I'd rather actually bring them here. We can develop a little bit more into culture. So there's an option there. It would be better to build a campus or something, like a theater square in this position. I want this to remain untouched because this will gain value as soon as we have a couple things worked on. We can go directly into Grove. That'll help this city grow a lot faster, and that's going to be the main thing we consider for this city.
You and I come by road or rail, but economies travel on infrastructure.
Have access to the corporation ability now. It's not a bad thing. It's just it's not going to be usable for a little while because we will need to pick up a great merchant that we can use for that reason. We are on the way there. Germany might yoink this before us, but it is on the way there. And if again, 500 gold, that's 4 turns of gold, so not major. And then the governor title, yeah, that's useful. We could definitely put another governor title maybe into connoisseur, maybe into harbor master, or we can go down into industrialist or something different. So I mean, the options are there. Could also eventually get to work on picking up suzerainty of this. That could be good. We don't have anything we could do at the moment for them. We are a few turns away from getting Scorched Earth, so I may even consider just, by the time they come around here, in this position, what we're going to do is go here and make those repairs. So you can see now this tile has regained a lot of value. now has a proper amount of production that we can work off of. That is in Buffalo. So we are going to take a look at what we have there in that particular position. And as you can see, there are many very, very powerful tiles here that are going to gain substantial value in the long term, because as this erupts more over the course of time, as long as we leave this position alone and don't over interact with it, we can actually develop it further. We're going to pick that up. That way we can potentially go for an industry. The industry for that would happen to be, let's see here, it's faith yield. And faith yield, you know, it's not bad. We're getting a lot of our faith really just from these preserves. And that's really where, for this type of game, preserves can provide a lot of value. Is, you know, through the mid and late game, you'll get gold, you'll get production, science, you'll get culture, you'll get, you know, faith. You get such a broad amount of different yields. The opportunity cost is very high, mind you. It's a very high opportunity cost. But because for the, you know, cost of building, you know, preserve early on, would it be better to build something different? In coastal cities, typically your first option is to, unless you absolutely need something else, is to typically build harbors. Because the harbor, once you have that and you eventually get a lighthouse and also get a shipyard, you'll have good means of production and, more importantly, a very, very strong and strengthened means of food growth. Because typically on coastal cities, you are very food limited. Actually, pick up a galley, because we are going to get air score out of this. And having a galley fleet just give them a little bit more combat strength against some of these units. So it's really actually may not be a bad thing for us to do in that case. We are a few turns out, and we're definitely not going to be able to build field cannons in time. So actually we'll have them go to sleep for now. We are going to, we could plant woods too, and that's a really key thing, because woods in all of these preserve areas, I don't know if we could build woods here, but maybe woods here could be useful if it allows us, you know, there are places where we can build woods to fill in, and that'll actually give us culture bonuses as well. Because once we get breathtaking tiles developed more, that'll help us too. And that's a key point. So I could build a farm here, and farm would give us a little bit more food. How are we in food growth? 25. So we are at a surplus of 13. So that is actually not bad for our position. We may not even need to really build that. What I might do is actually go back here, even though it's wasting development, go back here and then put down a some woods, and that'll provide us a little bit more development, I would say. Now that we've repaired that, we can actually go here and get this built up a little bit. So yes, we could build an industry there. The faith yield in this city right now is not very high. However, as we progress later into the game here, once we build this, that'll go up to 2, and then the Eiffel Tower bring everything up to par. At minimum will be for breathtaking value. So the appeal there could be actually very strong. So we may actually build that industry, considering that, yes, it would give us just a little bit faster growth. Not by much, but just a little bit. Also, this is rebelling in 4 turns. Question is, okay, I'm actually producing more pressure, so I should be able to pick that up in so many turns. That's also good, because what I can do in this case is I can use that as an opportunity to just keep an eye on this area, and then eventually kind of get set up. Now, bring this unit over. In this case, let us build woods, and that is going to give us a little bit of production. The good thing is that will pay itself off in dividends as we approach the later part of the game. Can we can't build woods here? Doesn't look like. Okay. I thought we could. I'll have to keep that in mind. Not that many other places that I would be able to build, you know, a really suitable preserve. Campus there. Preserve possibly over here. That may not be bad. The value of it may not be really high though. That preserve here could be made better by us going here and then to there. Just have them sleep for now. I'll just have to keep an eye on it every turn just to make sure it's not getting attacked by a barb of some kind.
Our alliances.
First, get that going again. Going to put this right there because if something comes up to it, it's going to have that zone of control effect placed on it before it can get there, and it won't be able to take. Plus, we do have good vision of the area, so nothing should be in range. Because that caravel went up this way, so they shouldn't be able to move, but we'll be okay for this turn. We'll just need to be careful about that for next turn. And we can plant woods there. It's kind of cool here, as you can see, the woods actually kind of spreads out to the other areas, and it creates more of like a symmetrical growth pattern. Actually kind of a neat little feature. And now that just became a much better tile. Well, some of these other ones did. Particularly, actually, may not have much of an impact right away, but it can still be useful, so that's no problem. And then I don't know if it lets me build woods on luxury resources, and that may be the case for the other items as well. Not gonna happen. As we recall from last episode, we just took a city of his, so he still has grievances against us, as we can see.
War is hell.
Perfect. So we have access to Scorched Earth. What we shall do is one of two things. We can pick up Suzerainty of Granada. Builders can now make Alcazar improvements. They provide 2 culture, provide science equal to 50% of the tile's appeal. So say if the appeal is breathtaking at 8, that means it would give me 4 science. So that's not bad. I may consider that. Occupying unit receives defense strength, automatically gains 2 turns of fortification. That's a small thing, not really a big deal for us. Provides tourism after research and flight. Okay, see that, if we're playing a tourism game, that's useful, along with the 2 culture that is providing. So that's not bad. That may be an idea for us to consider in some of these southern areas, is if we can plant them. They cannot be built next to another one. So basically, we would have to put them, you know, like so. Because if we take a look at the appeal in a lot of these, in general, is pretty damn good. You know, 7, 6. In this case, that's 5. And remember, we are going for Eiffel Tower. So that'll put us in a closer position for what we're looking for. We already have the skyscrapers card on, so we cannot do very much to provide us with additional production towards any of the wonders at the moment. Unless we were to go back and revert to autocracy, that would not be a good thing, because that would make at least to, yeah, you can see, you know, probably doesn't seem happy. Change will plunge your nation into anarchy. So not really something you want to do. Unless it's a complete necessity, you know, for the game, and, you know, that's the only other option you have. That's one thing. So I'll link them up just to keep them protected. And then we can have this guy stationed out here, and then potentially do some exploration of this western coastline, because there may be more city-states for us to discover. And for us, That's a very invaluable concept. Civil prestige, we're going to keep that on until we get to the Colosseum, because that will help cover some of those amenity losses. And then once we're done, we can take that out. Conscription, hold on to. You know, that could actually be good. Since we're doing a lot of like domestic adjustments and work, we'll do that. Few gold, no, 3 gold, not really a big deal. Let's take you to here. Plus, the important thing is by having the Eiffel Tower, what that does is, because there's so many tiles here that are charming and at 2 or 3 charming, what will happen is they'll immediately become breathtaking, because this wonder gives you +2 appeal for all tiles within your civilization's boundaries. And because of that, what you'll do is, say, for example, if I plant woods right there, because there are woods here and having another one, they won't stack per se, but as long as there is a woods tile adjacent to this that is breathtaking, remember Teddy's ability right here, Antiquities and Parks, the woods perceived to culture if you're adjacent to a breathtaking tile. And that is really important. For this stage of the game, that is a very, very critical part. Because remember, it also includes wonders, just world wonders. And I have to be very clear about a specific point here. By us having Eiffel Tower, our science yields, our culture yields, our faith yields, and eventually by virtue of the upgrades with a lot of these sanctuaries, especially like that one, for example, being done literally next turn, and then as well as that production, we are going to see a huge boost to our entire empire in all of our yields. Everything is going to be increased by some margin. How much, I can't say for sure. I know for sure science and culture will be the primary growth points. You will see that more than a lot of other things. In the meantime, right now, not very much we could work on. One of these, because it's under construction, it would improve these tiles. Having that done means we could go for that. Not a bad thing. It does seem worth it to go for this improvement, but it's better in the long run not to. Well, again, we'll put wood here. And we'll keep on just building more and more of them. Plus, from a tourism game standpoint, the more of these features that are spread about the game, you could do so much more with it. Okay, good. So that's good to know they're up north. Because once you have a lot of these areas that are all naturally kind of derived, once you have access to conservation, the means to develop naturalists. Go to civics and is in conservation right here, naturalist, and you can create a national park. If you're playing as Canada, the special military unit called the Mountie, they actually their special ability allows them to produce 2 national parks per unit, and it does not eliminate the unit afterwards. They just don't have charges of it anymore, to my understanding. I'm actually going to bring this guy south and see if there's a coastline on the south we can carry on. Let's actually gain sources instead. I want to really max out our chances just to be sure that we aren't potentially going to be in a dangerous position. Good. It's a free city. Has enough loyalty though. So that's something. Dude, if that city put the city there and put a campus there, it'd have been such a better camp, like a better position overall, because the campus would get boosted by that. Not a big deal, but just just like nitpicking the AI. That spy will come in handy though. Rocket scientist, linguist, base driver. Overall, that's really, really good. This is a fantastic late game setup. Fantastic late game setup. High chances of survival. So if something doesn't go right, at least you have a better chance of surviving here. Mission completion reduced by 25%, and disrupting rocketry in a more successful manner means any of the other AI, especially John Curtin and Frederick Barbarossa, especially these two, because of their high science yields. Solomon, not so much. He's got a good amount of science, but I'll keep an eye on that. If his science does not really advance heavily compared to the others and me, then he's not really going to be too much of a threat of building spaceports. But the other two will, so having that unit is absolute god tier, is perfect. As we can see, Sanctuary just got done, so you can see. And if we take a look at our yields, if we go to Empire, take a look at those beautiful yields. Just admire that for a second. So that is going to get made better. And that is going to get made better with Eiffel Tower, like all of our tiles. But because of that, we have so many charming tiles in our civilization here. We have many, many charming tiles. That's a huge growth potential. And that's what I was mentioning earlier. By once we have that, we're going to skyrocket in many ways. And that's a fantastic boost to us because we're keeping up with the AI and we're actually just ahead of them, and that's earlier on here by turn 200. Because we're already getting ahead of them, we're going to really continue to skyrocket and just get an exponential growth pattern in the very late game. And that's going to be so, so awesome for us. We can win a lot of engagements by having that. Taj Mahal is going to be an important one to build. I just need to find a location for that. So I will do this off screen just to know, what's a good location, and we'll consider that. Okay, so I went for this because the really important thing is by having this grow, we're going to provide a lot of additional food growth. And the culture is going to help a little bit. So if we take a look here, yeah, so we've got 4 breathtaking tiles. That's a fantastic amount of growth, and these tiles also. So be ready to see the value here just skyrocket. And that's why a preserve game with Teddy is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful kind of run that you could do. I love it so much. And this is just vanilla. This is unmodded. The fun thing is that with mods, there are different ways you can explore the mechanics. And that's going to be the really neat thing. So we can probably build a... Wow, so that's very quick. Only 5 turns, yeah. We'll build an amphitheater. Just keep those great rider points coming in. We're competitive with the others, but let's start to take control of that. The more we do that, the better our overall tempo is going to be. In this case, I would like the industry to be here. It's a better location for it. Yeah, so with this particular tile, I feel like it's a better decision to put the industry here because military units, this will be a coastal city, so this type of city is going to be very, very critical for, naval growth. So in this situation, we have to deal with a naval war or want to expand it a little bit and just, build our tempo even further. We could do that. One of the cool things is there are many, many coastal cities. And because of that, we can really push positions. There's potential. That being said, we'll put this harbor here, and then we will make this industry. That'll help us grow just a little bit faster, get this going. Yep, so 5 food, 3 production, 1 gold. That's a fantastic start for a city. It's an amazing start for a city. For a starting tile, you cannot get very much better than that. Okay, in this position, what we could do is, with the city, we could bring this down. Yeah, I think I like that one a lot better. It may not give as high yields per se, but it's risky by having, this go directly into the water, and then this will get just immediately taken. And secondly, having this go through land only will just keep these areas safer you know, because we can traverse units. So if there's a barb issue, or in the later game, once I build a couple of neighborhoods here and there, somebody puts a recruit partisans espionage attack on it, and you know, recruit opponents, basically just barbarian AT crews late in late game. I think it's AT crews specifically, but it may be other, you know, maybe dependent on era. I'm not very sure, but that's what tends to pop up. And the important thing in that case is preparing yourself a little bit for that. So I'd rather have some trade routes to be there just in case, because, you know, we're going to have a few opponents and we may not be able to maintain a lot of friendships other than just the 3 or 4 that we have, which 4 is plenty. That's not a bad thing in a small world like this. Yeah, you want to be friendly with everybody. You can get better deals out of that in the long term, but it's not necessarily always the end of the world. Okay, so we're going to go into the Ferris wheel there, and this will just be a backup. So whenever this or any barbarian is continuing to, you know, hold itself on that position, which it sometimes can take some time for them to move around, especially when I'm not able to work on the harbor, I'll just work on that in the background as an option. I will actually rather purchase this because of the high cost in turns. I'd rather purchase it to gain immediate value. For example, I could save up to 1760, and basically I'm a couple turns away from that anyway, so I could spend the gold on that. Or I could find another area that needs a sanctuary and we could build one there. For us, I would say that's most likely our best course of action. The appeal in this area isn't really high. Unfortunately, you know, -2, it's not a great location for it's not a great location for a preserve. I can put attack here in case we want to just boost our yields overall in the long term, but for this city, it doesn't really make sense as a major priority. And again, this is why I focus on, you know, when I start a coastal city, I prefer to focus on harbors immediately. Farm isn't a bad thing. That would give us a little bit more food. It is a 2 production, 3 food. That is really good though. We'll boost the food up just a little bit in that city. Good, so we see some coastal land to the east. Potentially discover new continents. We have secured the normal age. Perfect. Denouncing us, not a problem. He's going to be very unhappy about that for quite a while. Okay, so taking a look at our situation here, Pedro just overtook suzerainty of this. So what that's going to do is provides you with 2 of each strategic resource per turn that you reveal but not improve. So say, for example, if there's oil on this tile, if I've revealed it and it's visible on the map, but I have not begun, say, improving the tile to, you know, extract that resource, then it basically gives me, you know, 2 of that item per turn. It just gives us a little bit of value extra to certain things, and it also speeds up the, you know, infrastructure development process, because say if you need, you know, certain types of military units or things of the like, and it requires a certain level of, you know, resources, in that case those resources become additionally more valuable, and that just facilitates that process. With this builder, we could purchase that. It's 145, and it's a little expensive, but these are amazing tiles though. This could be an incredible farm triangle. I'll just likely make a dam nearby, most likely in this position. Might be the safest thing for us. Don't have access to it yet. Dams are right here. It will only take us a turn to push into that, but really this guy I could hold on to. Just have them sleep for now. Continue moving eastbound. Just move one at a time here, just in case we have to fall back. Okay. And it just spawned a barb. I could hear that. Or was it just that? It might have been that. This moved west. Nature. Ooh, that's a lot of tiles affected, though. That's a huge flood, though. With this unit, one thing I realized, and I just reloaded the save, so this was kind of right at the edge of going to where we've already explored, completing a full circumnavigation, which would give us error score. The problem is I do not want error score at this phase because I don't have the means to be able to get a heroic gauge as much as I want to. Just looking at the current setup, we would need 14 points. It would give us 3. We're going to be getting 3 from this. Cannot produce that soon enough. There isn't very much we could do in regards to that, so we're a bit limited. I'd like us to go for a market. Providing us with another trade route would be really beneficial for us. With good gold income, what we could do is just purchase one every now and then. That way we can keep up with our traders and then get more of our cities growing. The more we connect all of our cities, the better. Those connections will really kind of amp things up. With that in mind, though, what we do want to do is once we get that market started, we could also build something else. And I would say that'd be a good option for us. Industrial zone could be useful. +3 right there would be very high level, though. At least for what we have available. Not a big deal, though. We're making a decent amount of production as we stand right now, and that will get better. Because we could actually put on the card seeing 3 food and 1 production. In this case, 4 food and 2 production. And then given +1 gold. You know, it's a little bit of value being extracted from that, and more from a food and production standpoint, but still very useful. So I could consider that at a later point once I have more cards to work with. It's not going to be too long until we get to the tier 3 governments. Yeah, as we continue to develop, and really once we get the Eiffel Tower, this will all become significantly faster. We'll get a lot of additional tempo from this. I'd like us to actually build this in that position, because the Eiffel Tower is going to be here. Industrial zone is going to be a +1. That's going to give us a little bit of production, but we could also buy some upgrades for it. That'll speed this up. We can, you know, shave a turn or 2 in the long run. I'd rather do it. There's just too much, you know, value to be extracted if you consider other, you know, costs. If you just, you know, hard built the Eiffel Tower in 24 turns, yes, technically at the moment you're down a turn because you'd be at 25 turns to complete it. However, in reality, this being +1 for production at the moment, and then once I buy, you know, a factory, as well as, well, starting off, you buy the workshop into a factory, and then once you have that, the really key part of it is that you have just a nice little boost to your production. So that'll go from 35 maybe to a little over 40, and that could take potentially a little bit of time off that other one. It would also just help our just general, you know, infrastructure, and that is key. This city here, let's get a harbor. Now, +4 harbor is just amazing. That would be a very good harbor position actually there. I can push the west here more, and I would actually kind of like that as an option. I'm going to hold this unit for now. I'm going to have them just protect. Actually, maybe explore a little bit. Barbs in the north there, so now I know they're there. I have 4 envoys available. Yes, I could take suzerainty bank of Hattusa, but not really a good idea. Not worried about keeping that. And we'll wait till next era to put into that so that way we get the era score. Maybe we can go for a different one as well. Industrial zone is done. We'll go back to working on the Eiffel Tower. And that's taking now the same amount of turns as it did before. See, it just went down a little bit. And so we're going to see 23 turns. Now that's 20. Chancery here. Develop the city a little bit more. Also an option. Not bad. I actually like that a lot. 6 science, 3 culture. That's nice. We'll take that immediately. It's a nice little just booster for us. Okay. Well, everyone, I think this is actually a pretty good stopping point for this episode. I want to thank you all for your time. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily content. Keep the videos coming. All right, you all have a good one. SpeeDMan out.